I hate it when food sticks to the knife and I can't get a clean, reliable cut.
Hey, Ming Tsai with the AeroKnife, light as air, cuts like a razor, and food slides right off. Even with a $50 chef knife, it cuts, but food sticks like a magnet. The AeroKnife has holes. 60% less surface area means less friction. It cuts twice as smooth, and food doesn't stick.
Product claims for the AeroKnife include food never sticks to the blade, blade cuts twice as smooth and fast as other blades, the blade never needs sharpening, 60% less surface area results in less friction, and it gets the perfect cut every time.
The blade is precision cut stainless steel, tough enough to hack up this 2x4, yet sharp enough to half a tomato.
Alright, so in the commercial for AeroKnife, there was a section where Ming Tsai, I think his name is, hacks up a 2x4 with the AeroKnife. Then he takes a tomato, turns the blade upside down, throws it on the blade.
Okay.
Oh, it did!
Oh my god!
Right.
I think I could take it out your finger.
Hey Mom, guess what? I lost a finger. How'd you do that? Whacking a knife against 2x4?
See?
I got hit with that.
Oh my god!
Alright, so the results of test 1. There was nothing stuck to the blade. There was no dulling in the sharpness of the blade. It was a clean, easy cut through the tomatoes. It didn't crush any of them, and there was a relatively little amount of force exerted.
You want to cut the cheese? With an ordinary knife, you have to push hard and cheese sticks to the knife. With an AeroKnife, no force, strength, or pressure, and the cheese falls right off.
The results of test 2, I was cutting the block of cheese. The AeroKnife was able to cut the cheese, no pun intended, with less force than the leading brand's chef knife, but the same brand's serrated knife took less effort to cut through the block of cheese, invalidating AeroKnife's claim that it can cut through twice as smooth as other blades.
So the sharpness test for the AeroKnife, we were cutting through a chicken wing all the way through the bone with the AeroKnife and measuring the force with a veneer force plate. And so for a control, it cut through it in 10 seconds, and it maxed out at 114 newtons. And then with each of the trials at 10 cuts, 20 cuts, and 100 cuts through a piece of wood, the time for each of the trials remained about the same, and the force did as well, which concludes that the sharpness was not lost during this test.
Pineapple?
No way.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't work. Here, see if it can cut all the way through it. Like, place there, and then see if it can cut through it.
Just straight down?
Yeah. Alright, so it
And
cuts
it
that far.
bent. And it bent.
Alright, it bent?
Yeah.
Here, take it out. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I started going straight and it bent.
Well, I think
Alright,
that's part of the pineapple.
yeah, see if you can saw it. Like, saw through it. Was that easier or harder than just cutting down?
Much easier.
Alright, saw through it this time. Alright. Alrighty.
See if you can hack down on that.
Yes. Can you hack down through that? No.
For the claim that food never sticks to the AeroKnife, for the most part it did its job and food did not stick. The only thing that stuck was little gunk like bone marrow from the chicken wings. We even tested it on cookie dough and it didn't stick to that. And for the claim that the blade never needs sharpening, it took us using the blade as a hacksaw on a metal dowel for it to dull and not be usable.
So for the claim that it can cut any food with less force, pressure, and strength, it cut through with less force than the leading brand, its chef knife, but it needed more force than the same brand's serrated knife, which kind of disproves its claim. And then for the claim that it gets the perfect cut every time, it actually succeeded fairly well with that. It had relatively clean cuts with all the materials that were tested. So I would not actually buy the AeroKnife because after a while the blade got kind of gross and all of the serrations on the blade kind of wore down pretty quickly. Overall it didn't perform better than an actual kitchen knife, and as shown within the trial with the pineapple, it actually was quite flimsy where the blade met the handle, and so I think it would break quite easily if used frequently.
I would buy the knife. Personally, I think it's a pretty practical kitchen knife. It works better than a regular chef's knife and a serrated knife for some things. Its use as a utility knife, as we did with the wood, the steel dowel, and the chicken bone, wasn't very practical, but if you're using it in a regular kitchen setting, I think it's a pretty useful thing to have.